My name is Maureen Harrington. I live in Red Hook, Brooklyn. I was born and raised in Brooklyn. I grew up on the other side of Brooklyn. I was raised Roman Catholic. Grandparents on my father's side, very much into the church. It was very fearful of God, doing something wrong, God's gonna get you. You're bad kids, you're going to hell. It was all in a negative way, putting the fear of God in us. I grew up with an alcoholic father who destroyed our house. Wasn't physically abusive to his children, but it was more mentally and physically to the environment that we lived in. He was abusive to my mother. My grandparents were not very kind and or generous, but they, you're the devil's child. You're a sinner. So it was very hard, and my mother did the best she could, and I truly believe that. I'm a single parent of an autistic child. I never had family to help in any way. They weren't willing to. Were they there? Yes, but they weren't willing to help. I don't understand somebody that's so religious and on the flip side can be so mean. Going back to my uncle, who's a priest. 7 years ago, my daughter and I went into a shelter for 3 years, and I reached out to my uncle a few days before we were leaving for the shelter and said, do you know of somewhere that we can go? Do you know of somewhere we can get help? And his answer to me was, how did you let it get so bad? I never understood how a person of God can be so family-oriented or loving to his community of his church, but not to his blood family. During the pandemic, I was doing laundry, and I would see people coming back with large boxes. A couple of weeks into that, I asked somebody, what this was, and they told me it was from the Food Pantry. So I came around the corner, which is 2 blocks away, and stood on the line. I think I stood on the line for about 9 months, and had asked a few times if I could help, but they did have a lot of volunteers at the time. And I just kept asking and just kept asking. It was something I wanted to do. It was something I needed to do. And finally I was, yes, you may, please come. And I was volunteering for maybe about another 6 months, and hearing about the church, and somebody that came to Redemption from a different state was talking to me about going to church, and it was something that I wanted to do and needed to do for myself. Life has been very hard for me. I don't want to cry. And just give me a minute. So I'm looking for something more other than the hurt and the trauma, and it is something that I need for myself because it's hard. Life is hard. Growing up, I never felt a part of a community, a family. I had my family, but it wasn't the family I always wanted. There was a lot of trauma. And I'm still living with trauma. But coming to Redemption Church, I have found a community that accepts me for who I am, because I was never accepted. That cares about me and fills something that I needed filled for a long time. I am very grateful for Redemption Church. I am so grateful. I am very grateful for the pantry. I have become a part of a community where I never thought I would be or never knew I needed. And it's amazing. It really is amazing.